All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another episode of A Chat with Matt. More of my CCMA coverage. Today, I'm joined by the illustrious, acclaimed country songstress. And honestly, and I'm not just saying this to blow smoke up your ass. I'm saying this because, like, I was looking through Megan's catalog and I was talking to Dave, her label rep before this, and just the progression of the artist's arc in creating the more authentic version of yourself to present that to an audience. That's the kind of stuff I vibe with. So Megan, welcome to the show, and I'm very excited to have you.
Thank you for that very wonderful intro. It made me sound a lot cooler than I am.
Well, yeah, you got to hype yourself up, right? That's part of the game here.
Absolutely.
So how's everything been with you and your project? And like, first thing I kind of want to ask is how was dealing with COVID during this time? Like, I'm assuming you're still out in Nashville. How
Yeah.
how was COVID in Nashville and being a songwriter? Well, I mean, there could be a lot worse places for a musician to be trapped for COVID.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it was all right. How was all that?
um, you know, now being like sort of on the other side of it, excuse me. I can definitely see some of the silver lining, but at the time it sucked, for lack of a better term. I was having a huge year already. I mean, at the time when everything hit, I was in the middle of my first headlining tour in Canada. I had just come off the Old Dominion tour with Mitchell. I was on my way to the Junos where I was going to have my first time performing on the broadcast, and I was nominated and ended up winning, and which was incredible. I mean, there's nothing that could take away from that honor, but there was definitely a part of me that it was a little not a letdown. I don't know what the right word is, but there was definitely part of me that that wished I could have had the full experience of being actually at the Junos. One, because I wasn't with my team, my Warner team, when it happened, and it takes a village. I didn't get that award on my own. That took a lot of hard work on my team's behalf, and the fact that I didn't get to like celebrate with them in person was kind of sad for me. But it was still, regardless, it's still an incredible honor and an amazing award, a huge milestone for me as an artist. But it was just really, it was a tough pill to swallow at first because I was really, to me, I was geared up for what was going to be the biggest year of my entire career. I had just signed my US record deal. I was getting ready to, go on radio tour and start really kind of making my mark here in the US. I was on my first headlining tour in Canada, which was another huge, accomplishment and milestone for me as an artist. And then it was like all of a sudden just having the rug pulled out right from under me. But also I wasn't the only artist who had that experience. It was the same for all of us. I know there were a lot of artists that were just frustrated and and disappointed and felt kind of robbed of what they'd been working for so many years. But I also think, sorry, I don't know what's going on with my throat here. I also think that the silver lining of it was that it had a very positive impact on my creativity and my songwriting, because when everything happened and all of a sudden all the shows got canceled and we were just kind of locked down in our houses, I took a couple weeks to feel sorry for myself, and kind of just mope around the house. I let myself have that. And then I was like, okay, enough's enough. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to use this time? What's the best use of this time? And so I just said, all right, I'm going to make a point. I'm going to just write. I'm going to write every single day. And the hardest part of that was, for the first time in a long time, I was having this huge writer's block. I mean, I felt like I couldn't write a song to save my life. And I think part of it was because I was having so many overwhelming other emotions, just anxiety and stress and depression, because of COVID and because of everything that was happening, and everything was so unknown. And so it was kind of hard for me to think about or feel anything else outside of those emotions. But I kind of, I made it a point. I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna turn this into, like, honestly, a real job for the first time in my life. Because I mean, it's always been a job, but normally would be, be on the road, play some shows, come home back to Nashville for a couple of days, go in and write. And I would be out experiencing things and having things that would just naturally inspire me and give me ideas for songs. And this was the first time I actually really had to sit down and actively seek out inspiration and creativity and ideas. And so after a couple of days of feeling really frustrated and feeling like I was just super stale with creativity, I was like, you know what, Megan, every day you are going to sit down for at least 1 hour with your guitar and try and write, whether it's just playing your guitar and coming up with some guitar parts or progressions that you think are cool, or some melodies, or just writing down some lyrics, or whatever it is. You are going to dedicate 1 hour every day, and if it turns into more than that and you get on a roll with something, great. And if it's just that 1 hour and at the end of it you don't feel like you have anything, it's still, at least you tried, kind of thing. But I realized that really making that very intentional effort, it eventually did trigger that creativity, and I think it made me a much better songwriter. And also because, normally when I would go in and write, I didn't have a lot of time. I was usually on a deadline, like, okay, you've got this much time to write for a record, and then you're going to go into the studio and cut it, and then you're right back out on the road, and this, and, be talking to the label, and the label will be like, okay, we think we've got this covered and this covered, but we want a love song or a ballad or up tempo for radio, usually. And so there was a lot of times where I was sort of chasing something, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it also doesn't always necessarily result in the best song or the most authentic. And this time, I just had nothing but time to just go in and write. And so I would go in some days and say, you know what, let's just try something weird today. Let's try and write something that pulls in a little bit more of some of my other musical influences outside of country, and just get outside the box a little bit. And some of those writes, I think, ended up being the best songs I've written, and a lot of them ended up on my latest project. So, yeah. Sorry, I know that was long-winded, but
No, it's good. It's because, well, one, it was kind of a loaded question because so much has happened in such
yeah.
a small chunk of time. Because and something that you mentioned, and I'm glad you mentioned this because I definitely want to talk about it. It's that working in kind of that pressure cooker kind of situation, because a lot of young artists, especially,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure you thought this at some point earlier in your career, like once you get that record label contract, then smooth sailing, everything's roses and candy, and you're just living on your tour and you're singing Nickelback songs all day long. But it's like it's the seeing artists in not just the country genre, but like I've seen in rock, I've seen it in every genre. It's just that kind of pressure cooker of time to get the right song, get it out there, follow that copy and paste format. And the one thing I'm glad the pandemic did, because the industry, and I'm sure you've caught on to this, like the industry always has a history of falling behind a bit, whether that's through technology or through people or through whatever it is. But then the pandemic allowed the industry and artists to stop exactly what they're doing, because in a world where everything is just constantly go, 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 it's hard to have that time to really bring out true authenticity in music. And you giving yourself an hour a day, just sit there and write and just try and be creative. That's an excellent facilitator for that. And I'm sure some days you sit there and you're just like, I have absolutely nothing. My brain's not in, my heart's not in it. And that was the one damaging thing for artists, being stuck in a house. But it also forced writers to kind of think outside their normal state of being, if that makes any sense. Am I kind of hitting up the right tree here?
Yeah. I mean, not only just the creative process, but I also spent a lot of time just self-reflecting and thinking about just myself and what kind of person I want to be, and what kind of career I want and how I want to do it. Because even this industry, this career, it's really tough, and even and it can get the best of even the best people, even the most grounded, most humble people. And you can get so caught up when you want something so bad. You can get caught up making one little compromise here and one little compromise here, and then all of a sudden you take a step back and look back and go, made maybe some more compromises than I really wanted to. And it's hard to find that balance, because on the one hand you're like, okay, the fact that I get to do this for a living is such a blessing. This is awesome. Like my job is awesome. And then other days you're like, I hate my job. This is this is so frustrating and it's like crushing my soul, and oh my God, I'm not good enough. And what if I don't have what it takes? And to be perfectly honest, during this pandemic is the first time in my entire life that I actually considered the idea that I might not have what it takes to do this. I was really down on myself for a period of time there, and it was really hard because I had nothing but time to just sit there and think about it, and stew on it. And it was a dark season for me for sure. But I also, when I look back through my life, a lot of times those really dark, really tough seasons were followed by really amazing seasons of just success and fulfillment and a sense of confidence and self-worth, and I feel like the tide is changing for me in that regard, and that I'm really moving into a much happier place. But it was really dark. It was tough, and I was also living with another artist who was going through the same feelings that I was going through. He was in the same position where he was geared up to have one of the biggest years of his career. There was a massive loss of income and plans that we had for our little family and our life as a couple that kind of got thrown to the wind, and worrying about money and stuff like that for the first time in a couple years. I mean, I'm no stranger to being broke. I was broke for a while before I signed my record deal, but I won't lie to you. When I started, when I got my record deal and I started touring and I started actually seeing a return on everything I'd been putting in, and I wasn't like stressing every week about whether or not I could pay my rent, I kind of really liked that. And then the pandemic hit, and all of a sudden I was like, oh wow, okay, I gotta really start worrying about money again. So there was just a lot of stressors, and it really put mine and Mitchell's relationship to the test as well, because we went from, the first 2 years of our relationship was us being gone and away from each other a lot, being on the road and all that. And we were really good at that. We handled that very well as a couple because we were both really focused on our own careers. And so it kind of like, it was nice for both of us that stress was taken off of both of us, that neither one of us had to feel guilty or apologize for being gone or for being busy or for prioritizing our careers, because we were both doing that. And then all of a sudden we were like with each other every single day, stuck in the house with nothing to do and nowhere to go and worrying about our respective careers. And it didn't bring out the best in either of us at certain times. But I think the fact that we learned a lot about each other and we learned how to love each other through it and come out of it stronger on the other side was another kind of silver lining. Because now I'm like, man, if we got through last year, we could pretty much get through anything,
And something that you touched on earlier is that self-reflection point. And I think the issue with what a lot of people are dealing with now, especially with the changes of the past 2 years, is that self-reflection piece to make sure that you are okay. And especially when it comes to relationship, especially if you're both in the same line of work, which you are,
Yeah.
it makes it certainly a challenge and an adjustment going from not seeing each other as much to seeing each other consistently, and then adding money trouble into it, and then adding not having anything to do, going stir crazy, trying to be creative and expand yourself while also trying to expand the business and trying to figure out how to adjust to a
Yep.
world where you can't play live shows, where streaming music you make very little money as it is, and all these other factors. And the music industry has been amazing because over the decades it's one of the most resilient businesses, and there's been key moments in the industry where you've seen the changes, whether it be from digital to streaming or from the physical to digital era, or just anything that forces the industry to evolve. That's why I constantly refer to a lot of people in the industry as cockroaches, just because no matter what happens, no matter what
So
nuclear
did
bomb gets
I.
dropped, they're always still there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, I
not
mean,
but so Megan, what kind of now are the goals? We're kind of coming out more into things are still up in the air, but there seems to be a bit more sense of direction on where things going. Like, what's the next little while look like for you and your team?
Well, I'm about to fly out this afternoon to go to Florida to play the Tortuga Festival, and that's kind of my last major festival of the year. And then I think other than that, I'm going to Vegas for the NFR thing, and then other than that, I mean, fall is hunting season for me, so I'm going to be spending a lot of time in the woods. I actually just got back from Mississippi yesterday, was doing a deer hunt there, so. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm just right back to writing. I'm going to be doing a writing retreat next week with some of my favorite writers, which I'm really excited about. Just focusing on the next project and looking for figuring out and deciding what my single is going to be here in the US while also, working on what we're doing back in Canada at radio. We've got Cool About It out right now, which I'm really excited about. I love that song. So yeah, I'm just gearing up, and I mean, honestly, I'd like to believe that I think next year is going to be look a lot more normal than the past 2 years in terms of touring and stuff. I'm going to be able to finally get back to Canada and finally make up the last few remaining shows for my headlining tour, which I'm excited about. Um, and yeah, I mean, right now my main focus, like I said, is just writing and just getting the best songs I can and enjoying, now that I've been able to get out of the house more and play some more shows, just enjoying a little bit of downtime before hopefully I go back into what will be a normal busy year next year.
And kind of I know we don't have a lot of time, so this is going to be the last thing I'll ask, and
Yeah,
then
you're
we'll
good.
we'll wrap it up. But because country is such authentic genre of storytellers, people that are willing to wear their hearts on their sleeve, bare their souls, all that kind of stuff. What piece of advice would you have for the next generation of country artists, whether it be in the bands, solo, Geiger, whoever it is?
Yeah. I mean, I would just say don't waste any time chasing what's working for other people. You need to spend all of your time and energy digging deep within yourself and figuring out who you are as an artist and what you want to say and how you want to say it, how you want it to sound, because the reality is like, if you chase something that's working for somebody else or something that seems to be kind of trendy and like the thing that everybody's listening to at that time, you might be able to get a hit or something out of it, but if it's not really true to you, you're going to have to follow it up with something else. And so you're either going to have to completely switch gears and then finally do what's real to you, or you're going to have to try and kind of like keep up this charade of just chasing trends. And I mean, you can, like I said, you can make money that way, but you won't gain lasting fans. You won't really create an actual fan base that's going to stay loyal to you. Sorry, that's going to stay loyal to you and really buy you as well as the songs. Because if you look at some of the most successful artists, all through time, but like for example, right now, you look at someone like Luke Combs. There's a lot of reasons why Luke Combs is really successful. I mean, the most obvious being, he can sing his ass off, and he's got great songs, he's a great performer, but also Luke has been very authentic to who he is in every sense, the way he dresses, the way he acts on stage, the way he writes his songs. Like, it's not, and it's all very identifiable as this is a Luke Combs song. And so when people like Luke, they don't just like his songs. They're not buying just the songs. They're buying him. They're buying the whole brand, the whole persona. And I think that's a really important thing to be aware of and and focus on when you're a new artist and you're creating your own way. That being said, knowing that, like, be aware of the fact that it might take you a little bit longer seemingly than some of the other artists around you. And I've had to remind myself that in the interest of chasing that authenticity and sometimes blazing my own trail and doing something that might be totally different than what's working at radio or what's popular or trendy at the time, in the end, the fans that I gain, they remain fans, and they're really true loyal fans, because they're not just into like a song they heard that they liked. They like me. They like the lifestyle that I live, the way I carry myself, and the way that comes through in my songs, because it's true to me. So yeah, I mean, that would that would be my advice. And also keep the blinders on. It's a very dangerous and toxic game to be always looking at what everybody else is doing and comparing yourself to other artists. Their journey is not your journey. And you don't know, you also don't know what their journey's been. It may look like to you that all of a sudden they got success overnight, but you don't know the work that they put in or what they did before they got there. And you know what? Some people do get it overnight and some people don't. And that's just, you can say it's fair or unfair, but it's just the reality. And at the end of the day, you won't do yourself any favors by worrying about what other people are doing. That's wasted energy that you could be putting towards what you're doing and making your music better and making you become undeniable. It's just what other people are doing is kind of irrelevant. And I still work on that every day myself. I find myself on social media and seeing things, which we all know it's the highlight reel. Nobody's really sharing their failures or their frustrations. For the most part, it's people showing their successes and look at this thing I'm doing and look how cool this is. And I catch myself looking at it and being like, well, like I don't have that, or I'm not doing that. Like, what's wrong with me? And it's so toxic to you, and it doesn't help you move forward. It doesn't help you progress. It doesn't make you a better artist. It just kind of sucks your energy out and like drains your soul.
No, I completely get it. Be authentic to you and what you do. Don't let others dictate the path,
Yeah.
and just longevity is key and authenticity is key. You
Yeah.
nailed it. Megan, this has been a great little chat. I hope one day we can sit down and do a full length one.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, anything you want to promote or shout out really quick?
Yeah, we just put out the official music video for Cool About It. It's my favorite music video I've ever done before. I've been joking and saying it would be like if like Ocean's 11 and a Bond movie had a baby over a country song. That's what this video is. It's really cool. It's got its own little storyline, and the actors we had are incredible. My director Sean did an amazing. Like, it looks like a full on like freaking Hollywood production, and I can't believe that he did that with one day of filming. So I'm really proud of it, and I hope you guys love it and check it out.
The new video is going to be in the link description below. Same with all of Megan's other stuff. Megan, thanks so much for hanging out. This has been a great little chat.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, y'all. We'll see you on the next one. Take it
All
easy.
right. Thanks, buddy.
Peace.
Take care.